Welcome back to Broken Electronics. My name's Lee, and it's a pleasure as always to be here with you today. A while back we took a look at my Apple eMate 300, the education intended laptop replacement, as it were, from the Newton line of products. More recently we took a look at the MessagePad 110, along with a number of items that went along with it. The Newton connection kit and the battery packs and chargers, which work very, very well, by the way. They've been very handy to have in doing these videos. We did start up the MessagePad 110 and took a bit of a look at it. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, although there's a limit to how far in depth really goes with these devices. Here they are. They look almost identical. There are differences. Underneath the Apple logo here, this says just MessagePad, whereas this one says MessagePad 120. The MessagePad 110, which is this device, came out in, I believe it was March of 1994, whereas the 120 was released, at least in the American market, in January of 1995. So we're going back a ways. These were the first PDAs. The term personal digital assistant was actually coined by the then CEO of Apple when they first came out in 1993, I think it was, John Sculley. And they were a pet project of his. Rather a failure. They were very expensive, and the initial iteration of it had some serious problems. They did get better and better, and really, far advanced over what you could do with a Palm Pilot, which is the one that made the big splash in that category. As I said, they're almost identical. You've seen the differences on the top, on the back. Slightly different locking mechanism here, for example, as opposed to here for the PCMCIA cards. Very slightly different locking mechanism here on the 120 for the lid that flips off it. And not much else, to tell you the truth. On the sides there, really quite similar. The pins that come with them are almost identical, but there are some differences in how they operate. So we're going to take a bit of a longer look into that today. I found it fascinating just in going over these, seeing how they worked. They're certainly not practical today. We have iPhones, of course, but interesting to see, and I can see how they were very, very useful back in the day. So, if you want to take a bit of a look and a little nostalgia trip on that, please stay tuned. Okay, here we are with the MessagePad 110. I just opened it up. It is still asleep right now. The device never really powers off, per se. It goes to sleep. All right. There's our splash screen. Unfiled notes. Now, the big key to making a MessagePad work for you is input. And the primary input is here with the pen, and it does have handwriting recognition. And pick that up as a series of numbers. Okay, we'll try that again. See if I can neaten it up a bit. And it read that as hello, which is certainly what I intended. In the brief amount of practice I've had with the device, and it will learn my handwriting a whole lot better as I continue to work with it, if in fact I do. I do find, though, printing is far and away better. If we try to write cursive, I think that's a pretty decent hello written cursive. Hey, it picked it up. Son of a gun. I guess I'm getting better. Now, the other option, there is an on-screen keyboard. You have to tap letter by letter. You're not going to double thumb with this. And you can come up with hello. All right. To erase, simple as that. Scrub over it a little bit. All right. Now, names. Here I put in a card for John Jones, who is my grandfather, my father's father. And this will show you the input field where you can put in a variety of things. First name, last name, present. All of these work fairly well just by printing them in and letting the text handwriting recognition work. Company is more of a problem. If you try to put, we can erase that. If I tried to fry dot, you see, it's going to try to turn it into some kind of word. All right, so this, oh, there's the keyboard. Okay. Here, F, N, B, and T. If there's a caps lock, I have yet to find it. Okay. And here we are. Yeah, he was president of the First National Bank and Trust of Atmore, Alabama. And now we can go back and look at the card. And there's our finalized card. Okay, closing out on that. That's the names, which is one of the immediate hard-coded options that you get. Dates. This is limited. We are in MessagePad, actually, Newton OS 1.2. In this, you can put in appointments for whatever day you want. But as far as putting in like events or recurring events or any of that, I have not found how to do that if in fact it is possible. So we can skip over that pretty quickly. Actually, let's close that out now. Extras. Inbox, outbox. These are various kinds of communication. You can print from the device if you've got it set up. I doubt that you'd be able to set it up with a modern printer, but who knows. It can fax. You can get, since it does have a PCMCIA slot, you can get a modem card put in there, so you would be able to make fax calls and send faxes, or connect to the internet via that, and email. And I guess it probably work just as well with an Ethernet PCMCIA card. Well, anyhow, okay. And the beam, it does have an infrared port. All right. Connection. This is connecting it to a computer. You can connect it to a DOS or Windows computer. Macintosh via the serial port, which maybe I'll do someday if I get a Macintosh setup that can communicate it with a serial port. I do have a couple that have got IR ports, but we're not going to deal with that right now, certainly. Okay, back to the extras menu. The Sharp. Receive Sharp items from an application, the telephone, or internally. All right. PCMCIA card. There is no card in the slot. There's a blanker in there. Okay, calculator. We can do simple calculations. And there we go. So it could certainly be handy. Formulas. Of these currency exchange, I don't think that's going to do a whole lot, since the values of currency in the modern world keep changing so much. Loan payments, I suppose you could. Net present value. Probably the one that's of most interest here is the metric conversion. You can convert gallons to liters, inches to centimeters, etc., 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 pounds to kilograms, miles to kilometers, Fahrenheit to Celsius. It is currently 39 degrees. And the Newton tells us that we've got 3.89 Celsius. Okay. Time zones. We have the correct time zone set. Here, Boston, that's close enough. All right. Now in prefs. The personal prefs. I've set it up with my name, the company, Broken Electronics, trying to get electronics to register in there using the PIN. That was an adventure, but managed to get it done. All right. Okay. Sound, sleep, memory. I'm sure what's in memory. Remove software, pen alignment, recognize, okay. Yeah, that's the next things. Pen alignment, recognizers, handwriting style. You've got a little handwriting practice that you can do in here. Write the word giving. Confidence in match. Okay. Play with the lid. Beaming. Various preferences regarding the IR port and the modem and the mail. Okay. And then the styles, you can simple, fancy, size of the font, makes it fairly big. I mean, it's hard to read on this screen anyway. You can make it bold if you wanted or underline it, etc. Okay, now that's a pretty quick overview. It's handy for saving addresses. It's handy for keeping appointments, although other calendar functions such as birthdays, holidays, all of that, it's not really very functional at this point. The notes, I mean, you can make quick notes on the fly, all of that. So yeah, it's limited functionality, but it is functional, and I am sure that if I were to sit down with the thing and practice more, we'd get better recognition of my handwriting. All right, so I think that's going to be enough of a look here at the MessagePad 110. We'll be back in a bit and take a look at the 120, so stay tuned. Okay, let's turn our attention now to the MessagePad 120, which came out about a year after the 110. There we go. There's our splash screen. We have our notes opened up, and it does pretty much the same thing. And there we get our... Okay. Now, we say ink text. Yep, it just sets it as script. Okay. Back to text. And of course we can do our keyboard again. H-E-L-L-O. And I kind of like this, this little font it's got, which is more interesting than the 110 had. Okay. So yeah, you can quite easily keep notes on the go. And the fact that the handwriting recognition does work so nicely on it means you can make notes pretty quickly and file them in various places. All right. As far as names, now this device came with a whole bunch of personal stuff on it. I think the seller just picked it up somewhere. He complained, he stated in his advertisement that he didn't know how to get the battery warning. It was throwing a battery warning because the settings battery in there was dead. It's your standard 2032 coin battery, and it's right there when you take off the back cover. Anyway, we've done my grandfather, once again, president of FNB&T in Atmore, Alabama, etc. So that's, as a device for keeping addresses and phone numbers and all kinds of things, it's actually very handy. All right, now dates. One of the things you can do for dates that is different, if we tap New here, we see we can not only set up a meeting, we can set up a weekly meeting that will recur, an event for an all-day, multi-day event, or an annual event. So you could, in fact, put in holidays, birthdays, all of those things, a to-do task you can put on there. So the calendaring function, much improved. Okay. Show, day, the various things, the to-do list, the day's agenda. So could be quite handy, I would think. Extras. And we see here we've got a much bigger list of extras. We have our inbox and outbox. Which I think is just, there's nothing in there. Instead of the list of the nothings that we saw back in the earlier version. All right, now one of the things we can do, if we click on memory info, we're going to see here it's a ROM version 2.0. So this is version 2.0 of the Norton operating system. All right. Connection. Connect via serial, and I imagine it would go to either a Windows PC or a Macintosh as long as it has a serial port. Okay. There is a PC card in the slot here, which is a flash storage card. Nothing in use on it now. Now what you can do is back the thing up onto that card if you wanted. All right, calculator. Much the same. Basic calculations. And I just closed it, didn't I? Well, it doesn't matter. Okay. But you can do your basic calculations, formulas. Same idea, some more things. A date calculator. This was kind of cool. You can put in the start date. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And the number of days. Oh, okay. 45 days. If you need to know 45 days past December 2nd, it would bring you to January 16th. Kind of a cool little function. And of course the metric conversion, same as what we saw. Operates a little differently, maybe a little smoother. Oh, I see. Okay. So you can do length, area, weight, British liquid, etc. That's kind of interesting. The difference between an imperial pint and a U.S. pint. All right. We can go out of that. Come on. All right. Actually, we can close out of that too. All right. Back to our extras. Clock. And I'm going to take a look at this because this is one of the downfalls of it. You'll notice I've got it set to December 2009. I picked 2009 because it put today's date. I'm recording this on December 2nd of 2020, not 2009. Who knows when it'll actually be released to the world. But in any event, it's Y2K compliant up to a point. The earlier version, I was able to set it up to 2020 perfectly well. This will not let you go past or even into 2010. More's the pity. Not that you're actually going to use this device in any really meaningful way. Okay, so that's time zone clock, styles, Newton tour. We won't bother with all of that. Handwriting instructor. And there's also writing practice down there too. Pocket quicken. Serial line. Tapping this does nothing. Well, thank you for that. Okay, owner info set up. All right, and help. We look into our prefs. See the security, locale, sound, alarm, etc. All right. Yeah, so really, there's a lot more entries here in the extras drawer, as they called it. But a lot of them, they just took things from the prefs menu and gave them their own entry here. But there are things. You get the pocket quicken down there. Yeah, okay, so, yeah, the device does pretty much what the 110 did, but a little bit smoother, a little bit better, a little bit easier. Anyhow, that's our look at the two Newton MessagePads, the 110 from 1995 and the 120 from 1996. Don't quote me on those, I may be wrong. All right, so that will bring this video to an end. I don't know how much more MessagePad stuff. There'll be a couple of things. I've got another MessagePad I want to take a bit of a look at. But until such time, be good to other people. Other people deserve it. Be good to yourselves. You deserve it. We'll make this a better world. And until we do, take very, very good and careful care. We'll be right back with you with a lot of other videos and a lot of other topics. So, until that time, this has been Broken Electronics.